Harrington. Snakes hiss, men do not.
I didn't want to come in if Miss Borden was about.
She's in her room. Anyways, you come and go as you please, don't you?
Such a fine lady she is.
I don't see how anybody could have thought she was the one who did it.
People have wicked minds.
It's enough to keep anybody on edge.
I admire the way she's kept her calm.
I've seen worse reactions from petty thieves.
The doctor gives her medicine. It helps.
How about you helping me to a cup of coffee?
Another cup of coffee. Haven't you had enough already?
The pot on the stove.
I like company.
Bridget, who are you talking with? It's Patrolman Harrington and Deputy Banks.
Well, I imagine this month has been a dull duty for you, Mr. Harrington.
Not at all, miss.
You'd be surprised at how much work we get when there's a murder case in the papers.
Any curious people on the sidewalk this morning?
Only a few.
No, that's nothing we can handle.
Can't imagine why they come. There's nothing to see but the outside of this house. Number 92 2nd Street, Fall River, Massachusetts.
I suspect they're hoping to catch a glimpse of you.
It's probably to see you look like the paper they keep running in the paper.
Why?
Curiosity.
Not that. They think I murdered my father and his wife. They want to tell their grandchildren they once saw a famous axe murderess. Never mind if she's innocent.
Now, Miss Lizzie. You mustn't think and speak that way. Don't mind who done it.
The truthful person. Let us hear it go.
When?
Soon, Miss Borden. Soon.
It would be comforting if I could believe that.
Keep our ears to the wind, our noses to the ground, and our eyes on the prize.
I'll go outside and see that they don't come into the yard.
Don't worry, Miss Borden. Good things come to those who persevere. Good things.
Are you gonna have breakfast?
No,
You eat so poorly.
it's not surprising, is it?
It's good that we've got the police about. The first few days when Bob gathered outside, I was frightened out of my skin.
So was I. Terrified would be more like it. See who it is?
Oh, you haven't seen anyone?
I'm fine.
It's Mr. Jennings.
Come in, Mr. Jennings.
You've brought good news, haven't you, Mr. Jennings?
All in good time, all in good time.
Run along, Bridget.
Let me know if you need anything.
I will.
Feeling better today?
One day is like another.
You've seen what they've said in the latest papers.
I haven't seen the newspapers in over a week. Half seem to think I'm guilty as sin, and the others see me as a victim of circumstance.
You're quite the celebrity, Miss Borden.
I wish only to be left alone.
We must be prepared
For what?
in case the tide should turn against us.
Is that likely?
We must consider the possibility.
Mr. Jennings, don't think me ungrateful, but I find your services premature. You're here because the Reverend Mr. Jubb feels I need legal assistance.
He is quite right.
I understand his concern. It's common knowledge that my father and his wife were not on the best terms with me, nor I with them. Therefore, the popular assumption is that I murdered them, in rage, in revenge, in cold blood.
Assumption is not proof of guilt, Miss Borden. If you are charged,
Don't be absurd.
if you are charged, the prosecution will bring up a far more damaging motive.
Oh?
Your father was a wealthy man.
My sister and I are independent. We have money from a trust fund set up by my mother.
Your father's estate is valued at close to $500,000. In his will, it states it is to be divided into 3 equal parts, wife and 2 daughters. Since Abby Borden is deceased, her share falls to you and your sister Emma. You two are the wealthiest women in Fall River. If you are charged, the burden of proof of innocence will fall down to you and me as your legal counselor.
Do you think it will come to that?
I can only repeat, we must be prepared. In your deposition to the city marshal, you stated you saw a man running from your backyard.
Yes, I called after him, but he kept on running.
Did anyone else see this man?
How many times must I go over this?
As many times as I think necessary. The prosecutor will bring up the same questions.
Mrs. Churchill was sitting on her front porch. She must have seen him.
She says not.
She's lying.
Why would she lie? Miss Borden! Why would Miss Churchill lie about a thing like that?
I don't know.
Well, let that pass for the time being. Your hired girl, Bridget Sullivan, entered through the front door.
She forgot her key to the back.
You suggested she take a rest,
I took the carton of groceries from her.
went into the kitchen.
That's when I found Father.
You stooped down to examine the body.
And that's how I got blood on my hands.
If worst comes to worst, our strongest point will be that there was no blood on the dress.
Is that important?
My dear Miss Borden, one can hardly murder two people brutally with an axe without getting some blood on the killer's garments.
Axe? Well, how did I know it was an axe?
They don't. Could be any hard-edged weapon. Sight of a shovel, an iron, whatever it is, they haven't found it.
But you said axe.
Only because Mr. Sousa said he was chopping the dead trees in the morning. The axe's use has never been found.
Mr. Jennings, I thought I heard you.
My dear Miss Borden, please, sit down. We're here to gather some questions for you.
You're not going to bother her.
It's quite all right, Lizzie. I want to help.
In your statement, you said you heard your father arguing with someone the morning of the murders.
I did.
Some man?
Yes, the man sounded terribly angry.
But you couldn't identify this man as Sousa.
I'm sure that it wasn't Mr. Sousa.
How can you be so positive?
I think I'm able to recognize the sound in Mr. Sousa's voice.
Father was always arguing with someone. He had a morbid fear of foreigners.
Yes, you mentioned that. Repeatedly.
Well, to Father, anyone south of Fall River was a foreigner.
I think if we could find that man, we might be able to end this big ugly case. Oh, we received your aunt's statement from New York.
Poor Aunt Vinny. She would have to fall and break her hip just when we need her. I really should go to her.
No. Your place is here, Miss Borden.
Yes, you're right.
Your aunt's statement confirms that your father was alive when she left.
Why not? It's true.
We must convince the jury what you say is true.
Yes, the jury. 12 men. Also, a male judge, a male prosecutor.
And a male lawyer.
And at the mercy of men, it would seem.
I must warn you against that sort of talk. It'll only do you harm. I must warn you against talking to the reporters. They'll twist what you say.
I'll be sure that she doesn't meet with them.
Thank you, ladies. I'll show myself out.
Good day, Mr. Jennings.
Good day, ladies.
Would you like me to get your medicine? The doctor said that you can take it as often as you'd like.
The doctor's a quack. Thinks by doping me foolish, I'll sit quietly and behave.
It could help.
I'd rather stay alert and feel pain. When I feel pain, at least I know I'm alive. Oh, Emma, you've been such a comfort. I don't know what I'd have done without you.
Try not to worry. Trust in Providence.
Lizzie, I have some wonderful news.
They found the man?
Well, no, not that.
What then?
The fellowship has passed a motion of support. We reaffirm our faith in you.
That is good news, Aaron. Oh, I wish I were more myself. Thoughts are racing in my head.
Is it any wonder?
Please convey my appreciation to the fellowship elders.
The idea that you could have done such an awful thing. It's unthinkable.
You've all been so kind. I don't know what I can do to repay you.
I'm giving an interview to the press right now, but I had to stop by and tell you about the elders' decision.
Yes, it is wonderful. Thank you again, Aaron.
Don't despair. We're all praying for you.
He worked so hard to get that motion passed.
Aaron is a friend, a true friend. I'm lucky to have so many, like you, Alice. I'm going upstairs for a moment.
Poor thing. She's exhausted.
It's all the town is talking about. The murders. Even the New York papers are full of it. You know, there was a rumor that they were going to charge Mr. Sousa.
Because he quarreled with Father.
Yes.
In that case, they'd have to arrest half the workmen in Fall River. Father argued with all of them, usually over money.
Mrs. Churchill hasn't been much help either. She spread all sorts of gossip.
I'm not surprised.
She says if they bring Lizzie to trial, she'd buy her way out.
Well, that's contemptible.
I'm afraid there are a lot of people who dislike the Borden name.
Well, Father and Abby weren't exactly likable people. And Lizzie has offended so many with her manner. People that just don't understand her.
If only she could get a rest.
I've suggested that, but the city marshal forbids it.
What kind of justice is that? Lizzie hasn't been charged with anything, and yet they treat her like a common criminal.
The police have been courteous. I don't think they even really want the case. Fall River has never accused a woman with murder in all of its history.
What have you got there?
Well, it's just an old dress. I spilled ink on it, and I can't seem to get the stains out.
She says she doesn't take the medicine, but she does. It makes her muddled.
Wasn't that the dress Lizzie wore the day of the murders?
I didn't notice.
I'm sure that's the same dress.
What if it is?
I don't think she should take any stains out.
Oh, it can't be the same dress.
Lizzie! Lizzie!
Why are you shouting?
That dress, is it the same one that you wore on the day of the murders?
Yes, I think it is. I've never liked it. The ink's ruined it.
What have you done with it?
Oh, I'm burning it in the stove.
Lizzie, you did it!
What's the matter?
Lizzie, did the patrolman see you put that dress into the stove?
Yes, he was standing right outside the screen door.
Oh, no. What have you done?
What's wrong?
I couldn't put the flames out. The dress is ruined.
Why is my dress so important?
Don't you know?
I'm so confused.
Mr. Jennings stressed it no more than a few minutes ago. He said that the strongest defense that you have is that there was no blood on the dress.
Lizzie, you've destroyed that defense. What could you have been thinking?
What have I done?
Yes, Lizzie, what have you done?
They'll find the man you heard arguing with Father. They've got to.
The city marshal's come to the house.
He's got a crowd with him.
I'm sure it's just something routine.
More questions, perhaps?
I'm sick of questions.
The city marshal of Borden?
Ladies,
Good of you to drop by, Marshal.
I am Marshal Hillard.
And I'm Deputy Marshal Fleet.
This isn't a social call.
I didn't think it was.
Did you find the man Lizzie saw running from the house?
No,
Question Mrs. Churchill. Ask her why she's lying.
she insists that she saw no one coming from the yard.
What does it matter? What does any of it matter?
We're trying to get to the bottom of this.
I didn't mean to upset you, Miss Borden.
I'm sure you didn't. Forgive me. My nerves have been under such strain.
Is it any wonder?
You must understand this is a most peculiar case. You see, the killer had to be familiar with this house.
Why?
You were nearby, your hired girl was about to return, and your aunt had just left. The house wasn't exactly deserted. The killer had to strike down your mother,
She wasn't my mother, she was my father's wife.
strike her down without making a sound. The same with your father. Then escape without being seen.
I saw him.
All this in broad daylight. Time to the second. No margin for error.
Am I the prime suspect?
I wish it didn't point in that direction.
But the evidence seems circumstantial.
I want to know the truth.
Well, Miss Borden, yes, you are the prime suspect.
No!
What about not the man father was arguing with. I heard him so clearly.
We will continue our search. You see, it isn't a question of the actual killings alone.
I don't understand.
The autopsy. The findings were brought before the jury, and there were some traces of arsenic roses.
Arsenic?
Not enough to kill, unless given in sufficient doses over a prolonged period.
Are you trying to say someone poisoned the Bordens?
A woman visited the pharmacy about 2 months ago. The pharmacist remembers. She made a fuss about signing the register.
What woman?
I bought the arsenic for tree rats. They infest the barn.
That's right. They're all over the barn. I hate to go in there. You mustn't take this, Lizzie, you God!
Bridget. Am I to go with you?
Yes.
Please, I am innocent, Marshal.
I'll come with you.
I'm afraid that's not allowed. Please.
I feel like Marie Antoinette walking to the guillotine. Oh, I'm sorry. The joke was in poor taste, wasn't it?
Miss Sim is in the kitchen. I'll let her know you're here. Thank you. What was your name again?
Rob Sarge. Amy Rob Sarge. I'm with the New York Sun.
I should have remembered. Make yourself at home. Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I've been baking. My hands are sticky. Won't you sit down?
Thank you. I was afraid you wouldn't see me.
You've been most sympathetic too, Lizzie. I appreciate that.
I believe it's a question of empathy. I know of your sister's work in the women's rights movement.
One of her favorite causes.
I'm quite active in the movement myself. Did you know that?
No.
I feel it's important that we stick together.
Yes, of course.
All the attention has flowed to your sister.
I don't feel as if I've been ignored.
No, I didn't mean it like that. I would like to hear what you have to say.
You mean about the murders?
Well, I'm sure you'll agree that the police investigation was sloppy. Even the Boston papers admit that.
I wouldn't know if the investigation was sloppy or not.
Whoever murdered your father and stepmother had ample time to do it with evidence and heaven knows what else.
That's what people are saying.
That could work in Lizzie's favor. She has many friends.
Many enemies too.
Why do you suppose the authorities dare arrest your sister? I mean, considering the lack of hard evidence, her social position in Fall River.
I believe I can answer that.
Please do.
You must understand that what I say is only theory and my own.
Go on.
I believe that the police had to find a murder to save face. After all, this case is the most, how shall I put it, spectacular they've ever had. They couldn't find the man father was arguing with, and if they didn't come up with something, they would look foolish.
So, you're saying your sister was chosen because she was available?
I wouldn't put it quite that way, but I do believe that the police made an assumption and did everything in their power to make the facts fit.
May I quote you?
If you wish.
You and your sister were close. Very close.
Yes, Lizzie brought me up.
Your mother died when you were quite young. about your sister?
She brought me up, yes.
You admired her.
Very much. There wasn't anything Lizzie couldn't do when she set her mind to it. If I had a problem, she solved it. If I was ill, she played nurse. If I was lonely, she took away the loneliness with companionship. Lizzie's always been there for me.
You should have had something in your father's will.
I wish I'd never heard of it. If the will didn't exist, the police wouldn't have the one motive that they can understand. Murder for profit.
Is it true you and your sister took your meals separately from your father and stepmother?
Yes, we never ate with my stepmother.
By choice?
That was the way Lizzie wanted it.
You didn't dispute the point.
No.
Did you hear the YWCA has established a fund to help in your sister's defense?
Yes, so many have been so kind.
Men hate admitting they're wrong.
The police have had things pretty much their own way, but they've been considerate. I've been able to take many of Lizzie's personal things to her cell, such as her vanity and dressing screen.
You make it sound as if she were an actress preparing for a role. What will you do if the jury finds your sister
Guilty.
innocent?
I'll thank heaven.
Will you remain here in Fall River?
I haven't given much thought besides each day and what it brings.
I must speak with you, Emma.
I didn't hear you knock, Mrs. Churchill.
Now.
Perhaps we can finish this later in the day.
Please do, Mrs. Robsart. Did you see I'm busy?
I'm not leaving.
Perhaps another time would be better.
You've already been more than helpful. Thank you again, Miss Borden.
You have no right to come into this house.
People are turning away from me in the streets. They think I'm deliberately lying about not seeing a man running from the yard. Mama, you've known me for a long time. Do you think I would lie about something as serious as this?
I know that you hate my sister.
I don't hate her. I admit we didn't get along. I admit we shared harsh words. I admit I was angry about her position in the fellowship.
A position that you wanted.
Yes, I admit that too. But that has nothing to do with the murders. I saw nothing. I'm being punished for what I didn't see.
Why don't you tell the truth?
I am telling the truth.
Why don't you tell me how you hate Lizzie so much that you'd do anything to see her hurt, punished?
Fine! I hate her! I hate her! There? You heard me say it. Odd.
What?
Seeing you standing there, with your back so straight, so smug, so composed. You remind me of your sister.
People change.
I hate Lizzie, but I swear to you I am not lying. I saw nothing.
Is that what you came here to tell me?
I have to live in this town, Emma. I have no place else to go. I'm being treated as an outcast.
And what can I do about that?
If you'd only speak to me in public, so people could see you weren't against me. If you'd only say something in my favor to your friends, people wouldn't treat me the way they do.
Impossible.
I'm not asking, I'm begging.
You'd have it all your own way, wouldn't you, Mrs. Churchill? Lizzie be gone, you'd have your revenge, and most likely the position in the fellowship that you've always wanted. I'd be the icing on your cake.
It wouldn't be like that at all.
Wouldn't it? I'm not fooled by you, Mrs. Churchill. I know how strong your hate is.
Hold is here. She bought fresh eggs. Shall I buy some?
Miss Churchill was just leaving.
You're right, Emma. You have changed. You've become hard, cold.
Don't come back.
You needn't worry about that.
I don't want her in this house again, Bridget. Do you understand?
Miss Emma,
What is it?
some people say it's not going well with your sister.
Some people will say anything.
What they found in the
Autopsy.
the traces of arsenic. That's damaging evidence, isn't it?
It's one of the prosecution's strongest points. That and Lizzie burning the dress.
What I mean to say is, if they hadn't found the traces of arsenic, things wouldn't look so bad for Miss Lizzie.
What are you driving at, Bridget? You haven't been yourself for weeks.
I don't want anything bad to happen to Lizzie because of me. She was always my friend. I didn't know they were
what you've told me.
I can't! They'll think I did it!
If you don't, then they'll hang my sister!
No!
Nothing to fear.
They'll put me in prison.
See to it that they don't. Go.
You don't like me, Miss Emma?
Never mind that. Go to Mr. Jennings. I'll go to the jail.
Yes, I'm going.
Just tell Reverend Judd to be careful how we break the news to Lizzie.
I put the eggs on the table.
Mrs. Sousa, forgot you were waiting.
She tried to kill them with poison, huh?
Listening at the door.
I heard.
She didn't try to kill them. She just wanted to make them ill. A stupid, childish prank. Better not tell anyone what you heard.
Why do you buy things for me?
What do you mean?
You buy eggs for me when there's chickens in the barn. You let me take your laundry when Bridget could do it.
I'd rather not have our business. I could go someplace else. Just thought with all the trouble your husband's been having, it'd be a neighborly thing to do.
We are not your neighbors. We live on the other side of the tracks. Foreigners. No one wants to help us.
It's not true.
You know what saves his neck. You. Everyone else will say it's Sousa, Sousa. But you say the man you heard arguing with your father was not Sousa. You saved his life, Miss Emma.
All I did was tell the truth.
Did you? You know what the children sing. Lizzie Borden took an axe and gave her mother 40 whacks. When she saw what she had done,
She gave her father 41.
I warn you, Miss Emma.
Warned me!
I think you wait and then change your story.
And why would I do something like that?
Because the people in this town don't want your sister to hang. You stick together. She's one of you. They'll grab anything that proves her innocent.
You resent that?
I've watched you carefully, Miss Emma. You've become so quiet. You can even say a line from that song without choking.
Doesn't mean I don't loathe it.
Like a cat. That's you. As soon as it looks as if there's no escape for your sister, you'll change your story. All of Fall River will be grateful. Then they'll come for my husband.
Why would I wait so long to change my story?
Because you're clever. They believed it was your sister at first. Now, they're not so sure. They'd like to blame someone else.
You think I'll hand them your husband?
Yes.
Get out.
You know what else I think?
I told you, get out!
I think you know things you haven't told the police.
Get out, I say!
Why do you do that?
Do what?
Wash one hand with the other, without any soap or water. Some things you can't wash away, Miss Emma. Like murder.
All these telegrams and letters. Did you ever see so many?
Lizzie Borden is a celebrity, Reverend Judd. You'll have to remember that.
I'm not likely to forget.
Any sign of them?
Not yet. Maybe we should have met them down at the courthouse.
Too many people. Mr. Jennings, so it'd be better if we waited here.
He put up a masterful defense.
When you come right down to it, they had nothing against Lizzie but circumstantial evidence. It might have been easier if the killer had robbed the house. That way, Lizzie never would have been suspected.
The important thing is that she's free, found not guilty.
It hasn't been easy for Emma either.
She's held up amazingly.
Sometimes, people find a reservoir of strength during trying times.
I'm afraid Emma always stood a bit in the shadow, Lizzie. Younger sister and all.
Lizzie does have such a strong personality.
I might do an article on the two of them. Loving sisters, staying together. That sort of thing.
I suppose such articles will go on forever.
Unavoidable. The public has a thirst for sensationalism.
More's the pity.
I'm sure there are some people who want to prove a not guilty verdict.
Some people are vindictive, but Lizzie and Emma can't waste time with them.
I do hope there won't be any unpleasantness.
People forget quickly. In time, Fall River will forget too.
Perhaps.
It'll seem so strange for Lizzie, coming back here.
We all have to try to get things back to normal. She'll need our help. She's been through a terrible time.
How she's held up all these months is beyond me. I would have had a nervous breakdown.
I wonder if they'll ever find the real killer.
I'm sure they will, and when they do, the police will have to give a public apology to Lizzie. They hounded her as if she were a Salem witch.
But they couldn't convince the jury.
Luckily,
Would anyone like some tea?
none for me. Thank you, Emma.
No.
I'm afraid without Bridget I'm at a loss. I didn't realize how much I depended on her.
I think she could have stayed until Lizzie got settled in.
I couldn't persuade her. She was convinced my sister will never forgive her.
That's not true. Lizzie has a most forgiving nature.
I don't think she could look my sister in the face. Anyway, she's gone now. She took the early train to Boston. I'll miss her.
What's taking them so long?
Technicalities.
That's what the law is, a mass of technicalities. This morning's mail?
Yes. All expressing the hope she'll be acquitted.
A whole?
Well, there are the one or two usual fateful letters.
Unsigned, naturally.
Naturally.
I'm growing wary of answering the mail. You can handle this batch yourself.
I trust she'll plan a long holiday.
Do you think she'll travel, Emma?
I never second guess my sister.
Miss Borden, we're inside waiting for you.
I'm hurrying.
They're here!
We must try not to mention the ordeal.
That won't be easy, Aaron.
She's home. She's safe.
Welcome home, Lizzie.
Welcome home.
Thank you, Aaron. You've been such a source of strength, such a friend. I don't know what I'd have done without your support.
Oh, Lizzie, we've missed you so.
I missed you too.
You'd better sit down. You must be exhausted.
I am, completely. It feels so good to be home. You don't know the nights I've spent tossing on my cot, wondering if I'd ever see this place again.
Try not to think about it.
You mustn't spare my feelings, Aaron. I'll never be able to put this nightmare out of my mind.
But you must, Lizzie. You must try.
These things take time.
You've been so kind, Miss Robsart. I've read every word you've written. I'll never be able to thank you properly either.
Your acquittal is my thanks.
Nor you, Mr. Jennings.
We owe a great deal to Bridget. If she hadn't come forth about her part in the poisoning, then...
Where is Bridget? Is something wrong?
She's gone, Lizzie.
Gone?
She left this morning. She took the early train to Boston.
Why?
She was convinced you'd never forgive her.
Where in Boston? Did she leave an address?
No, nothing.
Poor Bridget.
The question is, will we ever find the man your father was arguing with?
In time.
I pray so. But we must let her rest.
Would you mind? In a few days, I'll be quite myself, I'm sure.
We wanted to be here for the moment when you got home.
To say welcome.
I appreciate that so very much. I keep thinking about the words the clerk said to the jury. I can't get them out of my head. To each indictment of which Lizzie Andrew Borden, the prisoner at the bar, has herefore and theretofore pleaded. Ugh, such archaic wording. One would think Massachusetts was medieval England.
We should give Miss Borden some time to rest.
You're quite right.
I have some matters to speak about with you, but they can wait.
Thank you, Mr. Jennings.
Come along, Alice. Miss Robsart.
A victory. Total victory, Miss Borden. Nothing less.
Come along, come along.
It is a wonderful feeling to know one has friends.
Would you like me to get you anything to eat?
No, Bridget can get me something later. Oh, I forgot.
She's gone, Lizzie. There's no one here but the two of us.
Why are you staring at me?
Don't you know?
If I knew, I wouldn't ask. Sit beside me.
No,
Why not?
I don't want to.
Emma, these past few months, you've acted so strangely.
Have I?
I owe you so much. Your testimony was the key factor in my defense. Mr. Jennings said we'd have been lost without it. You were wonderful on the stand. You never wavered.
I felt I owed you that.
Owed me? You told the truth, that's all.
Did I tell the truth?
Yes, of course you did. You heard someone arguing with Father that awful morning.
No, Lizzie, I did not.
What are you saying?
I made it up. I lied.
No, you didn't. I've heard Father argue with many people.
So have I, but I didn't hear anyone arguing with Father that morning. Don't you understand? I made up that story. I lied.
Oh, Emma. Then I owe you even more than I thought. You lied to help me? You lied because you knew I was innocent. In your heart.
No, Lizzie. Remember when we used to hide things when we were girls? Our secret space. Space in the chimney. No one knew about it but the two of us. I found the axe on the day of the murders.
And you think I did it? There was no blood on my dress.
You changed your dress in between the time that you sent Bridget for help and it arrived. Bridget didn't notice.
You have changed.
Yes. No longer innocent about life. I never want to see you or hear from you again.
I told you you're wrong.
I don't want the money. You can have it all. This house, too.
This house, I'll sell it.
No, you won't. I know you too well for that. You'll stay in this house and live in it, if only to show Fall River that you have nothing to hide. Isn't it funny the way things work out? I've always loved this house. I'm leaving it. I've always hated this house. But it will become your prison.
You can say these things to me and mean them?
Mrs. Churchill had said I'd become like you. Cold and hard. I'll never forgive you for that, Lizzie. I'm leaving. I'm not taking anything with me. I'm going to Aunt Minnie.
You lied because you knew I was innocent.
No, Lizzie, I lied because I knew you were guilty and I had to save you. Goodbye.
Emma? Emma, no, wait, don't leave me. Emma! To each indictment, of which Lizzie Andrew Borden, the prisoner at the bar. If she is guilty, you are to say so. And if she's not guilty, you are to say so and no more. Good men and true, stand together and hearken to your evidence.